So I just recently learned that myself and many other guitar players have been playing the main riff and verse riff to Bark at the Moon by Ozzy Osbourne completely incorrectly for years now. So today on Weekend Wankshop we're going to take a look at how Jake actually plays those super iconic riffs. Check it out. Hey guys, and welcome to this week's installment of Weekend Wankshop, here with your best buddy in all the world, Uncle Ben. There's a video you can find here on YouTube called Jakey Lee Talks Bark at the Moon. It looks like he's doing a little clinic at a guitar shop or something like that, where he talks about how he actually plays those super iconic little chord stabs. Those chords have been a real point of contention for guitar players forever now, and I used to play them completely different. I thought it was like something like that, like you see a lot of transcriptions of. Turns out that it's actually a little bit more simple and a little bit more difficult than that. He also does a little variation on those chord stabs once Ozzy starts singing in the verse of the song that I had not even heard before until he pointed it out. But before we bust these riffs wide open, let's hear it again at stepdad speed. And as always, for a full tab for this week's lesson, be sure to go visit my Instagram page over at Eller Guitars. Give me a follow. Find the tab for this week's lesson, learn how to play it, and upload a video of yourself shredding through it along with the hashtag Weekend Wankshop. So the name of the game when it comes to this riff are these chord stabs that are interspersed with some open A string action that is palm muted. So the chords are not palm muted, but the open A's that we're going to hit in between them will always be palm muted, so keep that in mind. So the very first thing in the riff here is this G power chord on my D, G, and B strings. All of our chord stabs we're going to do are on these three strings right here. So the very first thing that we hit is this G power chord, which is 5th fret D, 7th fret G, and 8th fret B. Just hitting those three strings like that. So even though this G power chord here is the first thing that you hear in the riff, I look at it as kind of existing outside of the riff itself because it's a pickup. It doesn't start on beat number 1. It sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. So that came in on the and of 4. So you'll see on the tab, I'll kind of put this outside of the riff itself. So after you have your pickup chord of G, he immediately moves up a whole step to an A power chord. This is going to be 7th fret D, 9th fret G, and 10th fret B strings. And what you're going to do is to hit that chord and then hit your open palm muted A string 4 times. So it's like chord, then 4 A's. And you're going to do that 3 times in a row. After that, what you're going to do here is to change the chord up just a little bit. I'm going to be playing the 7th D, 9th G, and 8th B string. So all I did was move the B string from 10 to 8, so going from my little finger to my second finger like that. So what you're going to do with that new chord shape, the 7, 9, 8 kind of chord shape here, is you're going to strike that and then hit your open A 4 times and then do this. Okay, that was my chord again 7, 9, 8, 2 A's. Then I'm going to hit the 3rd fret A string pulling off to open and then hit 2 more open A's. So that is like this. Notice the picking is down, up, down, down, up, like that. I've seen some footage of Jake playing that without a pull-off, just kind of picking it all, open, open, 3, open, 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 but it sounds like on the record he does a pull-off. do either one. That leads us to the next part. Now what this is this is your pickup chord again, your G, the 5, 7, and 8 on D, G, and B strings. You're just going to strike that chord and then 4 open A's 3 times in a row. Then we lead up to the mystery chords. He's going to start off by barring all 3 strings, D, G, and B, on fret number 10 with his little finger. Okay? So that's just 10th D, 10th G, 10th B. It's an F chord basically. I'll show you a different way to finger this in a second too. So the way Jake does it is to strike those 3 notes and then hit his open A 2 times. And then change the shape up a little bit like this. Now I'm on the 9th D and my little finger here is barring the 10th G and B. So it's 9, 10, 10 is my grip here. 2 fingers doing 3 strings. Hit the A 2 times. And then what he's going to do is to move the D string only all the way down to fret number 5. This is a big stretch right here. You end up with 5, 10, 10. Again, I got the 2 10s under my little finger over here. You got to strike that chord, hit your open A 2 times. And then the last thing he does is to come back here to the 9, 10, 10 grip using his ring finger and little finger. So those chords are... Notice that after the last one there's no A's. Like I said, Jake does that first bar with his little finger like that, but one way that I like to do it is by making my little finger just stay on the G and B strings only. See, it's not on the D, it's just on G and B. And I'll start off with my 3rd finger playing the 10th fret D, then moving down a fret, then moving down to 5, then back to 9. So in other words, instead of doing this, I'll just make the ring finger do the work right there. Either way is fine though. So just to recap, we should have this. For the second half of the intro riff here, you're going to be playing your A power chord on 7, 9, and 10. You're going to strike that chord, then your open A string 4 times, 3 times in a row, just like you did before. 1, 2, 3. Then change your chord shape up to your 7, 9, and 8 shape, just like before. Strike that 4 A's. And then we're going to do a little variation on what we did earlier. We're going to strike the chord, and then I'm going to play this. It's just like what you did, but instead of using the 3rd fret, you're going to use the 5th fret instead. So this is 2 A's, 5th A, pulling to open, and then 2 more A's. So that's... After that 5th fret lick right there, what you're going to do is to grab that G power chord again, 5, 7, and 8. You're going to strike that, then your open A 4 times, same thing. And then this time you're going to strike the chord and just do 2 A's. So that's 4, 4, 2. Play this lick next. 1st A, open A, 1st A, 3rd A, 1st A, open A, and then on the low E string here play 3 and 1. And that takes care of your intro. So after that lick, that's where Ozzy comes in with the vocals and the verse starts. The verse is pretty much just like the intro, except for a few little things. Firstly, you don't have the pickup chord of G. Remember how I told you to think of that as separate from the riff? That's because whenever you get into this lick, that eats up the time that that pickup chord would usually be coming in on. So coming out of that lick, you're not going to start back at G. Again, that was the pickup, and you just don't have time for it now. So whenever you get done with that lick down here, you're just going to immediately start in on your A's, A power chords there, and your open A strings, just like we did. Now, this is where it gets different. The chord stabs in the verse are different from the intro. And again, this blew my mind whenever Jake talked about it because I had never even noticed. But after he pointed it out and I figured out what he was doing, he just kind of mentions it in passing. But after I figured it out, I can now hear it clear as a bell when I listen to the actual song. Okay, so here are the chord stabs he uses during the verses. Really weird, right? What he's doing here is he's starting off again with that 10th fret bar on D, G, and B strings. I'm just going to use my ring finger in this case. It's going to be moving up here in a second. So I'm going to bar D, G, B, fret number 10, 2 A's, then move down to 9, 10, 10, just like you did in the intro, 2 A's. Here's where it gets different. It's kind of like a D minor triad. You're going to be grabbing your 12th fret D, 10th fret G, and 10th fret B. 2 A's, and then go back to your 10th fret on all 3 strings. That's your last chord during the verses. And again, those all have 2 A's after them except for the very last chord. So after those weird chord stabs you play up here, you're back to your A power chord and 4 open A's 3 times, just like always. Then you're going to do your little 7, 9, 8 chord with your 5th fret lick, again, just like before. And this is where it's going to get a little different again. You're going to play your G, your 5, 7, and 8 chord here. And then instead of playing like this, like you did in the intro, from the verses going into the chorus, he does a little bit different transition. It sounds like this. Now, I'm playing the first A, open A, first A, third A, first A, open E, first E. That's because it's leading up to this F sharp power chord. Well, it's like F sharp minor for the first chord in the chorus. So that last lick goes, and that first chord is just 2, 4, 4, 2, 2, 2. So now let's put it all together. Intro right into the verse. 1, 2, 3, 4. Verse. So there you go, guys, another classic riff decoded. Be sure to check out that Jakey Lee Talks Bark at the Moon video on here. He talks about a couple of other interesting things that I never noticed, like how during the chorus, he has that F sharp in the bass for all of those chords, except for the very last one, like this. I never noticed that he was doing that, keeping that F sharp going like that. It's pretty crazy stuff. Thanks again so much for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. You guys can follow me on Instagram over at Ben Eller Guitars. You can check out my Facebook fan page over on facebook.com/Uncle Ben Eller. And if you're interested in booking some one-on-one Skype lessons with me, be sure to drop me an email, benellerguitars@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching, and if you guys behave and do all your chores this week, I just might be putting down a video on how to play the main guitar solo of this song later this month, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Anyway, remember what Carl Verheyen said, if you like it, learn it. Cheers, guys.